This is Brennen Jensen for the Chronicle. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People turns 100 this year. The group's new president, 36-year-old Benjamin Jealous, is the youngest leader the storied civil rights charity has ever had. He was formerly head of the Rosenberg Foundation in San Francisco. We sat down with Mr. Jealous to talk about his new role, the Obama presidency, his group's sizable 64-member board, and other topics. Well, you've been on the job, 5 months now?
Yeah.
You had to point to one change you feel you brought to the organization as it enters the Ben Jealous era. What would you point to in saying this is something that I've implemented?
I'd say two changes. One is that we're back in the black. I just can't repeat that enough. We're here today. I'm at a staff retreat, setting the framework in which we will begin designing and rolling out big campaigns. And in the meantime, we've begun launching a retraining of our field operation across the country. Will start in just a few weeks in basic community organizing skills.
Now, I could be wrong, but I believe you're perhaps the first president to have an extensive background in the nonprofit world. How has that been beneficial to?
In this, if you will, modern era of nonprofit management, post-Sarbanes-Oxley, certainly is a real advantage to nonprofits being run by people who really understand the peculiarities and best practices and winning strategies of nonprofits. I think that there's been, in this financial moment, there's some second guessing about the common wisdom of the 1990s that the best people to run nonprofits are people who had nothing to do with nonprofits historically. And so I guess I do take some pride in being a seasoned nonprofit manager.
Have you thought that the board might be too large, or?
We're a movement organization. When you look at other movement organizations, like Human Rights Campaign has 200 people on their board, I've been told. ACLU has 83. The Urban League used to be at 64, and when they tried to cut as much as could, they got to 44. So on that continuum, I feel like we're towards the right end of it. The bigger issue as a nonprofit professional, the board is the same with the staff. It's just, it's about ongoing training and development. We're starting right now with the staff. I know that there's interest from the chairman in continuing with the board. And that really, the question, I guess, shouldn't be, is the board too big, but does it work well?
We have an African American in the White House, probably something that your grandparents couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
How does that impact, your work and your mission?
In many ways, it increases people's hopes. And with increased hopes come increased expectations. We have a generation of young people right now who are batting 1,000 because the only big fight that they ever permitted themselves to get involved in was this election. And quite frankly, this is a victory of a young generation of activists just as much as it's a victory or a culmination of the hard work of activists over decades.
How do you intend to measure your success or progress? Do you have any targets, like X number of members, or raise the profile, or what sort of?
We have multiple goals, and one of those goals was or has been to get control of the spin in the media. We have 25,000 media stores, only one person working the national communications staff. You can't say that you have anything approaching even influence, in the Vegas sense. And that's been going very well. We have other goals as far as resources, and that's been going up well. We're up, 20% over where we expected to be last year.
Well, some critics like to question whether the NAACP is still relevant in the 21st century, and you've outlined what some of the challenges are. How do you tell people that, yes, this 100-year-old group is the group that should be at the forefront?
We are uniquely well positioned to build consensus in this country for those types of changes. The struggles of the last century were primarily around enforcing civil rights. Fights now, fight for good jobs, the fight for good schools, the fight to end mass incarceration. Those are political battles, not legal battles. They're not about enforcing civil rights as much as they're about realizing human rights. To go to the same school is a civil right. To go to a good school, or if you will, the same good school, is a human right. One requires enforcing a social contract, the other requires extending and amending the social contract. And that requires a plurality of voters. And you don't just need it on the coasts or in the blue states. You need it everywhere. We're in 1,200 communities across this country. We're concentrated in the red states. Our people in their communities are insiders. The NAACP in town after town is seen as an organization that has had a positive impact on that town. And so that combination of reach, geographic spread, credibility, and the ability to build coalitions and pull people together locally is a unique set of tools for a century when the job is to realize human rights, to expand the social contract.